lots of thoughts trying to come out at the same time. But,
Well, let me just talk about the mood, Ali, in the room for that speech. It was one of absolute shock among our European allies, among basically everyone in the audience. I think many of us Americans just felt totally embarrassed as VP Vance delivered really not a speech, but a condescending lecture about the fundamental tenets of democracy to our European allies. And what was most remarkable is just how hypocritical this speech was. He talked about respecting election results. He talked about not jailing your political opponents, and he talked about not censoring the media. The problem is that this is coming from a man who himself won't acknowledge the 2020 election results. This is a day after Trump said he should jail the members of the January 6th committee, his political opponents. And this administration just kicked the AP out of the Pentagon and is censoring dozens of words from government publications, keeping Americans in the dark while they take reams of data off the internet. So the utter hypocrisy was met with a room full of hundreds of people, a couple hundred people, and about 5 of them applauded. I think 4 of them were Chinese. It was only the Chinese and the Russians who liked the speech. The Russian foreign minister actually came out and praised the speech. That's the only praise you've heard about what VP Vance had to say.
Notable when you break down the response like that. And so as someone who was in the room, both hearing that and then the reaction from world leaders, the word I keep hearing is stunned. What did you say to them in response about this next era of American foreign policy led by President Trump?
Well, of course, in private, the Republicans that I was with at the conference were embarrassed by this speech as well. They're very scared of Trump, so they're reluctant to say anything in public. I did hear Senator Wicker notably say some things publicly, which was good to hear. But what happened in the meetings to follow were Democrats and Republicans from the congressional delegation, House and Senate, sitting with European leaders and trying to reassure them, and trying to say Congress here is united in a bipartisan way with Ukraine. We stand with Ukraine. We do not approve of the administration's moves to negotiate just with Russia. We don't approve of what Secretary Hegseth, the Fox News personality, did just a day before, basically selling out the Ukrainians by giving away our biggest leverage in the negotiation.
JD Vance's speech at the Munich Security Conference was an absolute shit show. It was a disaster. He managed to insult European allies, including the UK, whilst lecturing them on democracy, despite his own administration being accused of undermining democratic norms. The reaction? Shock and embarrassment, not just from Europeans, but also from Americans outside the Trump bubble. Even some Republicans were cringing and grimacing, but they're too scared of Trump to say it out loud. Democrat Seth Moulton, if I'm saying it wrong, please do correct me. He says his hypocrisy was off the charts. He lectured on about respecting election results, yet he still questions the 2020 outcome. He criticised jailing political opponents, even as Trump calls for locking up the January 6th committee members. And he lectured on free speech while the administration censors the press and removes data from public view. The only applause he got was from China and Russian officials. When Russia's foreign minister praises your speech, you're fucked. Behind closed doors, US politicians try to reassure European leaders that not all Americans are on board with Trump's approach. They made it clear that Congress still supports Ukraine and NATO, and they've condemned any backdoor deals with Russia. But here's the thing. Whilst this is embarrassing for America on the world stage, it won't impact voters unless Democrats show how it hurts them at home. Trump's foreign policy blunders could actually cost American jobs, especially in the military industrial sector. If the US steps back from Europe, European countries will start buying military equipment elsewhere, like from their own suppliers. This could lead to job cuts in the US, especially in defence companies and their suppliers. Democrats should hammer this point home. Trump's antics aren't just embarrassing, they're bad for American jobs and bad for the economy. If Democrats connect their dots between Trump's foreign policy and job losses at home, they can flip the narrative. Trump's claim to be great for the economy, but if his actions are costing people their livelihoods, there is a powerful argument heading into the next election. But let me know what you think in the comments. I've been Jake from Just Jake. As always, subscribe to the YouTube channel. Thank you for watching. Follow the Facebook page and feel free to buy me a beer. But not a real one, because we're not that kind of group. You actually made it to the end of the video. If you would like to subscribe to the channel, which, why haven't you already, is somewhere over there. And also, if you want to watch more videos, also check out over there. I've been Jake from Just Jake. See you later.